Hello, my dear beloved children. Today we will continue to talk about reptilians and dwell in more detail on their features, species and subspecies. The main thing that distinguishes them is a strict hierarchy and impeccable obedience. An elaborate system for controlling the reptilians embodied in human bodies has yielded excellent results. Their generals, the draconian civilizations, who live in near-Earth space, manage to infiltrate their protégés into all key positions in almost all vital spheres and structures of the world community. For this purpose, a higher caste of reptilians was created, which knew who they were and where they came from, as well as the tasks that were assigned to them by their superiors. Moreover, they had direct contacts with their puppeteers, who gave them clear, specific tasks to implement such laws, rules and orders that contributed to the enslavement of people's consciousness, instilling fear and obedience in them. Thus, representatives of the highest caste of reptilians gradually found themselves at the head of almost all countries of the world. It was they, guided by their main principle of divide and rule, who unleashed bloody wars, revolutions and religious strife, artificially inflated national conflicts, plunging humanity into energy chaos, which brought people pain and suffering. Their main goal was to suppress the free will of man, thereby killing the divine nature in him. As religions arose, the main church hierarchs were also often their representatives, who unleashed religious wars, forcing people to kill each other in the name of God, but in reality in the name of preserving their power, profit, and control over people. Gradually, the upper caste of the reptilians managed to get their hands on all the world's wealth of your planet, all its financial structures and all its institutions of power, including religious ones. People did not notice how they found themselves in a trap from which they still cannot find a way out. Why did this happen? Why have people failed to resist this dark force? The thing is, my dear ones, that unlike humans, these dragon creatures born of civilization do not have a divine soul, the one that a human has, which means that they do not know what love, gratitude and compassion are. They go to their goal without stopping at anything, and for them people are not living beings, but only instruments for achieving this goal. By the end of the 20th century, they were already celebrating their complete victory, because they had in their hands absolutely all the natural resources of your planet, the entire banking system, all the media, all the institutions of power, secular and religious. The shadow government of planet Earth, consisting of representatives of the highest caste of reptilians, decided the fate of all countries and peoples through its representatives in every country, in every government, and in every city. If they came across a person who tried to pursue his own policies for the good of the people, he was ruthlessly destroyed. You have witnessed how one after another people's presidents, public figures, and simply famous people who can influence people's minds and awaken their consciousness, in short, those who tried to get out from under the control of these gray cardinals who crushed the whole world, passed away in a strange way. Unfortunately, this continues to this day, but not on such a scale, because the upper caste of reptilians in human bodies was orphaned, their masters, the draconian civilization, which ruled them from the subtle plane of the earth, suffered a crushing defeat from the higher forces of the universe. That's what we're going to focus on today. The Father Absolute, who loves you immensely, has spoken to you. Hello, my dear beloved children. Now we will talk about another category of creatures generated by the draconian civilization, which can be conventionally called ordinary reptilians, and which are represented on Earth in truly huge numbers. They, unlike the upper caste, are unaware of their origins and sincerely consider themselves ordinary people. But in fact, each of them is an integral part of the web that the progenitors of the reptilians draconian woven and which entangled the entire earth. Each of them has a certain program, to neutralize the enemy, which are light human souls, not to allow them to reach the level of spiritual development that will allow them to revive their divinity. How does this work in practice? At first, the reptilians, obeying their intuition, which is perfectly developed in them, find the purest, brightest, most devoted and unselfish souls who are able to devote their lives to others. Then they do everything to connect with them in family ties. And already as a husband or wife, they carry out a plan to capture his soul, crushing the person under them and gradually destroying him as a person. Here, too, their natural intuition comes to their aid. They find the most effective methods by employing various tricks that instill in their companion feelings of fear, pity or guilt, worship of their intelligence or power, that is, those energies which correspond to their own vibrations and which are so easy for them to control. Reptilians impose their values on people, which are purely material and practical, because they simply do not know anything else. Taking advantage of the spiritual purity and kind heart of a person, they gradually turn him into their servant, who begins to live exclusively in the interests of the reptilian, fulfilling all his desires and needs, forgetting about himself. And the longer they live together, the more a person becomes depersonalized, descending from the spiritual world in which he lived before, into a purely material world, where there is no place for any other thoughts than to satisfy the needs of the reptilian and his family. Thus, the main goal of the draconians, to enslave humanity, extends to every single family where one of its members is a reptilian. In addition, all the values artificially imposed on people, which are introduced into human society by the highest caste of reptilians, are nourished from below, since almost every family in which there is a representative of the reptilian race becomes an active consumer of material goods, in such a variety offered by modern society. That is why humanity has fallen so rapidly into three-dimensionality. The consciousness of the god-men was transformed to such an extent that most of them turned into a gray mass of Philistines, whose ultimate dream was a well-fed life and a decent position in society. And now, dear ones, it is time to open your eyes to what is happening to many of you, for only the truth, however bitter, can free you from the trap you are in. That's what we're going to focus on today. The Father Absolute, who loves you immensely, has spoken to you. Reptilian humans, hello, my dear beloved children. Today we will continue to talk about reptilians, and this time we will talk about what children are born from mixed marriages between reptilians and humans. And here the main factor is the emotions that each of the spouses experiences at the moment of conceiving a child. If a child is conceived in love, of which some reptilians who have incarnated many times in human bodies are still capable, then the child will be born a full-fledged human being with a divine soul. If it happens by force or by great desire only on the part of the reptiloid and not the man, then the reptilian is born. But it often happens that the relationship between spouses is smooth, without excessive emotions, and then half-breeds are born, that is, people in whom the divine soul of a person and the soul of a reptilian who does not carry the divine principle live at the same time. And there are a huge number of such half-human, half-reptilian people on Earth now. They are the ones who make up the bulk of the people who live according to a certain standard laid down in them by their reptilian parent. Between two souls, who by the will of fate found themselves in the same body, there is a constant struggle for the right to complete possession of their physical carrier. And a lot of people feel it. Hence the expression that God and the devil live in every person at the same time. In fact, not in everyone, but only in those people whose souls involuntarily found themselves in such an unnatural state for them. On the physical plane, this manifests itself in the fact that these people are constantly tossed from side to side, they are torn apart by the most contradictory thoughts, emotions, and actions. Their spiritual impulses are extinguished by reasonable, practical considerations, since there is an endless inner struggle between the divine and the earthly. This is explained by the fact that the reptilian part of their being is able to live only with the mind, while their divine human part wants to live with the heart. And few people manage to combine these two components, and even more so to completely evict the reptilian soul from their physical body. And here a lot depends on what kind of relationship the child has with his parents, whose influence on him will prevail, a human or a reptilian. If the upbringing of the child is completely in the hands of the reptilian, he will make himself of him, expelling the divine soul from him. If, on the other hand, the pure exalted soul of his human parent undertakes his upbringing and development, then the reptilian may be expelled from his physical body, which will no longer be able to exist in the higher vibrations of the human soul. But, unfortunately, my dear, this is such a delicate sacred process, which has many nuances and depends on a variety of life circumstances, that it is very difficult to put a single basis for it. This struggle between the souls in a person's physical body may last a lifetime, or it may end very quickly in the victory of one of them. And I'm only telling you about it in such detail so that you understand how complex the world you live in is and how much depends on you. You can save even someone who is half reptilian, which means giving him a new life of a full-fledged divine creature. That's what we're going to focus on today. The Father Absolute, who loves you immensely, has spoken to you.